One reason I find the GT-1000 really attractive is that it rolls in all the algorithms from the Boss 500 series pedals, which I've also reviewed on my channel. I absolutely loved the Boss DD500. That's one of my favorite delay units. They've also put out the little DD200, which I've reviewed as well, and I think it sounds great. I'm just a big fan of Boss delays in general, but it would be nice to have all the other options, like, you know, all the stuff from the MD500 and the RV500, and most of those algorithms are actually in here. Off the top of my head, I think it's only the Dimension from the MD500 which isn't in the GT-1000 at the moment. So the little thought experiment I want to do here is, like, can I replicate a pedal board that might have those three Boss 500 series pedals on them, and say like a Boss Super Overdrive and a Boss, you know, EQ or something like that on there, and a couple of other effects, because we've got so much CPU power in here. You can literally turn all the stuff on that's in the grid, and it doesn't kind of crap out of CPU power, which is pretty awesome. And we're not using the amps, so we're going to be very, very safe in terms of DSP load. So the first thing I would want on this is some kind of boost. So let's go to the distortion section, and I've got the OD1 dialed up at the moment. I really like the sound of that. I've got the tone pushed up a little bit. A real OD1 obviously doesn't have a tone control, so this is more like a Boss SD1, which is one of my favorite pedals of all time. If you've seen anything on this channel, you know I use that pedal a lot when I'm demoing amps. And I've just pulled a bit of the bottom control out. So this is my straight up sound, and then I'll boost it. So what I like about that is I've got control over the low end, and essentially, not really the high end, it's more like the high mids with this tone control. If I really push that and really drag this out, I can get a kind of djenty tone. But I think I like it with a little less tone and a little less bottom going on there. Or I should say a little more bottom than what I had going on there. The other thing as well is there's a little bit of hiss here, so let's just slap a noise suppressor on there. That's handy. Done. Alrighty. What we could do next is, as an alternative to that kind of, you know, solo boost where I'm using a drive pedal, I might want to use an EQ pedal. I can go in here and select a graphic EQ, and we've got, far out, how many bands do we have here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 band graphic EQ, much like their EQ200 pedal. Again, which I've done a demo of. There's a lot of Boss stuff on my channel. So what I would do with the graphic EQ if I wanted like a preamp boost is I'd get busy around this 1 to 2K region and really push that, and a little bit of 500, and I'd roll off aggressively in the low end with this. A lot of modern high gain sounds are essentially all about attenuating low end before the amp and then boosting it after the amp. So I'll just do a little bit of roll off there and a little bit of roll off with the high end, and I can add a bit of level as well, why not? So this should send the amp absolutely nuts. Ooh, I think I much prefer that to the distortion thing I've going on. So that's going to be my front end boost. Now, another thing that I really like in a rig like this is using a compressor as either an alternative boost or as a way to level out the difference between two pickups. So I've got the X comp from the Boss X series pedals just dialed in there. You can see the settings on the neck pickup if I was just playing purely clean. Love it. that X comp hits the spot for what I'm doing there on the neck pickup. So that one stays. I've actually got the X comp assigned to foot switch number 1 down here. I've got the GT-1000 down here, and I can just flick that on and off as we're going. So far we've got 2 different types of boost, and we've got a compressor going on and a noise suppressor. Let's get into some time-based effects. One thing that I can never decide on is whether I want chorus before distortion or after distortion. So because we've got so many blocks, we can actually have it both ways here. What I'm going to do is set up the post preamp chorus. I'm going to use a dual chorus here. What I'll do is I'll just bring the rate down on 1 and push the rate a bit higher on 1. And I always find with chorus, if you push the rate, it's good to back the depth off and vice versa. What I like is we can set the pre-delays in here. I might just bump this one a little bit, and I'll bring down the high cut on all of them to warm the chorus up. This sounds, let's put that compressor on and then we'll kick the chorus in. It should be a pretty sweet, clean sounding type of chorus. You got to trust Boss to do chorus right, and this definitely sounds like a Boss chorus, so I like that. Alternatively, if I was playing with like a dirty sound, I would normally want my chorus in front of the amp. So let's do effects or effects 2, and we'll just set this as some kind of chorus. Let's just use the stock chorus. We can choose a bunch of different choruses, but I'm going to go with the C1 chorus because that's my favorite chorus pedal of all time. Let's have a listen to how this sounds with some drive. So you can hear the difference there. The chorus after the amp is kind of like a widening effect, whereas before it gives me that like Pat Travis Band 88 flanger-ish sound, which I absolutely adore. Let's move on to delay. We've got many kind of stock delay blocks we can use. Like this would be one of the stock delay blocks where you can just set up a subdivision, a bit of feedback. You can set the high cut, which is really important for me when I'm using delay, because I like delays that aren't too bright. At the moment, I've just got a dotted 1/8 delay sitting here. Sync to the tempo, and it does this. And plenty of feedback there, which I'm digging. So that's my stock. Like, I always have a dotted 1/8 delay somewhere in my rig, so it's great that I can do it there. But there's this master delay block, which essentially is all the cool stuff from the DD500. We've got stuff like the Space Echo. Really go overboard with that. One of my favorite modes is this bin drum echo, which I love on lead guitar with a bit of this. I'm going to use this EQ instead of the distortion as a boost. So with the delay off, That's what I like in a delay. That is really nice and warm. There's also a tape delay if we want to hear that. And of course, you've got your stock dual delays, reverse delays, standard digital and analog sounding delays. I've always liked the analog mode and stuff like the Boss DD20. It sounds a whole lot like the DM2 that I've got, just without all the noise. I love that. I love the way that delay sounds. And we can add some reverb now. We've got a lot of the modes from the RV500, if not all of them. You've got cool stuff like the dual reverb, so you can go in and set like a plate and a hall. You've got all the normal stock modes like hall, plate, room, a kind of general ambience sound. Spring reverb, there's a shimmer reverb, and there's the Terra Echo. We'll come back. I'll grab a Strat in a second and make more of like a clean patch, and we'll use the Terra Echo. But for now, on like a distorted sort of sound, what I normally like is just a straight up kind of room reverb with the time at around, half a second. I'll roll off a little bit of the tone to sort of make it darker. As you can see, one really good tip with reverb on guitar is to set a bit of low and high cut. Let's hear it with and without. It's just adding a little bit of thickness there to the rhythm guitar. I'm digging that. Alrighty, that is essentially how I would set up a rig with this, using it for effects only. And there's kind of most of the modes that I would have used on the 500 series. Of course, we can make a whole bunch of different presets, like if you wanted different chorus types for different songs or different delays for different songs, just have a different preset and you can switch between them seamlessly, which is awesome. What I'll do, I'll go into the control section. You can see that foot switch number 2 I've got set as distortion. I'm going to change that so that it is my EQ, which is living somewhere down here, equalizer number 1. Awesome. Now what I can do, I've got foot switch assignments here where I can just go through and turn individual effects on and off. So you'll see them on the grid. I'll just go through from my stock guitar sound. I might start with a clean thing on the neck pickup. You can hear I added a phaser in there. I also added the chorus before the amp as a point of difference to the chorus after the amp that I had with a clean sound. What else did I do in there? I had my EQ boost and I stacked the delays at the end there. So because it's all laid out really logically, you literally just assign, your 5 foot switches and your control switches to do whatever you want. It's essentially like having a customizable pedal board, and you don't have to run, a whole bunch of patch cables. You don't have to worry about a power supply. You don't have to worry about troubleshooting noise anywhere in the rig because you can clamp down on it in the grid here. It seems like a pretty logical conclusion if you wanted you know, all of the 500 series stuff, and you didn't want the hassle of running a really big board. You wanted it all in one unit. It would make sense to do it in like the GT-1000. What I'll do is I'll grab my Strat and we'll have a listen to a slightly cleaner, more over-the-top ambient patch, and I'll see how many effects algorithms I can run without getting it too tasteless. But it's going to be tasteless. Here's a clean sound with just a bit of reverb. I like that, but let's go over the top. So all I did was add the compressor, and that just gives you that kind of spongy, squishy feel. Compression is really nice on clean sounds. For the reverb, let's use the Terra Echo. So that was pretty awesome. I did a little bit of dicking around there, but hopefully it gives you an idea at the end. The other thing that I like as well is we could stack like 5 different delays together in here. So let's just do that. I'm going to throw all the different delays in over here. We've got, we'll start with the bin drum echo. I've got that set for a, let's make that, rather than a quarter note, we'll make it like a half note or something like that. And I'll run that into a dotted eighth note, and I'll run that into, oh, I don't know, what could we run this into? Let's go for something like a really fast delay, something like a 32nd or a 16th note. Dotted 16th, that'll do, and I'll use a really long delay at the end here. Who knows what this is going to sound like? I'll just tap the tempo. I think that's something I need to play around with a little bit more. That was very, very entertaining running. What is there? I've only got 4 delays on there. I missed one of them, this delay 3 over there, but you could do 5 different delays. which is pretty wicked, I think. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea, at least of how I would go about setting up the GT-1000 to use in 4-cable method with an amp. Basically, you can see here all of this stuff is before the amp, all of this stuff is in the amp's effects loop. You can go absolutely nuts with the time-based effects and stack up multiple time-based, delays, reverbs, and modulations on top of one another. Or if you don't want to use that and you just want to use one instance of each effect, it is a really great way to do that as well. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. As always, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.